Kyle Meredith, and I've been promising all morning Brooke Annibale here in the studio. Welcome to Louisville.
Hey, thanks for having me.
I see. Welcome back to Louisville. You said you've been here and you've played here before.
Yeah, it was a couple years ago now, I think, but
Yeah.
I've driven through a million times, and it's nice to finally stop.
Yeah, and that's what you're doing right now. You're actually just passing through. You were telling me you played in Nashville last night, and now on your way back home, right?
Yeah.
And where's home?
Home is Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And I guess that's how the story goes, and correct me if I'm wrong, you grew up in Pennsylvania and then you moved to Nashville.
Right.
And kind of set your stakes there for a while, and then that didn't work out and you left, or what's...
Well, I moved there for college, and so after college I moved back to Pittsburgh for a while, and then I started recording in Nashville, even though I didn't live there, and then that sort of pulled me back for a while, and then I headed back to Pittsburgh almost about 2 years ago now. It just, the hometown just pulls you.
It always does.
Yeah.
Nashville's interesting too, because obviously a lot of songwriters go there because that's where, a big part of the industry sits and lies, but it would seem like it's also just as easy to get lost in that whole shuffle.
Right,
Like
yeah.
when everybody's trying it, how do you raise your hand and try to get above everybody else?
Yeah, that's kind of the age-old question, I guess, of being a musician. But it is really cool to be in Pittsburgh and have so many different contributions to the culture, whether it, just... It's nice to experience something a little more diverse after being in Nashville for a while, even though Nashville is obviously so inspiring to be around all those talented people.
And Pittsburgh's great, too. I mean, I know you've got a great station up there with WYEP.
Yeah, definitely.
We love those guys, too.
Yeah, they're great.
Brethren or whatever. And you said you college, it's a music business degree, right?
Yeah.
How's that working out?
Well, it was, I think a lot has changed since
Yeah.
I got my official degree in music business, but I think the foundation is still there as far as what I learned, and the people that I met, I think, is the most important thing. When people are studying music business all together, it's kind of like they're all going for something in the industry, and the people that are still working in it are definitely connections that I've made for life, I think.
Right. And I mean, we talk about you being, a completely independent artist. That's what you were just telling me off mic and everything. And I don't know, I suppose that that would come in handy. I mean, whatever you've learned there had to have you're benefiting from as you're out there doing this without any help.
Yeah.
And you've got this great new record. We should mention it, The Simple Fear, and you're out promoting it yourself. You were telling me that you're booking the shows and basically managing yourself and everything that goes along with being an artist. When I would see a record come in at this level, there's a whole team behind it. I
Yeah.
can't imagine the man hours that goes in on this for you.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely have assembled a little bit of a team, but there's still so much legwork to be done behind the scenes, I guess.
Yeah. And you're in the middle of it too. I mean, I guess it's worth saying that you've been doing this for 10 years, over 10 years?
About that, yeah. I mean, I started college about 10 years ago, so I guess I really started professionally, going for it maybe 5 or 6 years ago, but I've been making music since high school and putting out music since high school, so it feels like, a decade of time.
And to still be the new artist.
Yeah.
You're our new artist, Brooke Annibale, the brand new artist to us, but do you find that is there any bit of that that's frustrating for you to already have been doing this for so long and still now you're just getting to the point where, hi, I'm the new artist?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's there's frustrations, of course, but it's not, I mean, it's just really exciting when you're working hard and there's something that happens from it. So I'm just excited to have the support, I guess.
Yeah. Well, we're excited to give it to you, too. Brooke Annibale, the new record is A Simple Fear. How about we hear something?
Sure, yeah. I thought I'd start by playing Remind Me, because you guys have been playing that. So here goes.
Great. It's FPK.
Just stop. Wait a minute. It meets our words twisted in the night. We were nothing like we thought. So just remind me. Only takes a second to say I'm sorry. Sorry. Just remind there's nothing you could do to stop the meaning, the words we've been screaming out. Oh, there's nothing you could do, nothing you could do. Oh, there's nothing you could do, nothing you could do. But just remind me, it only takes a second to say I'm sorry, sorry. But just remind me, it only takes a second to say I'm sorry, sorry.
Brooke Annibale here on 91.9 WFPK Radio Louisville with one of my favorite songs of the year, Remind Me. That studio version can be found on her new record, The Simple Fear. It's one of the things that stood out to me about that song the first time I heard it was kind of the sparse recording sound of it. And maybe it's that piano that just kind of comes in and out a little bit as it goes along. How did you, do you have an idea, especially on a song like that, when you go into it, exactly how you want it to sound?
I do sort of map that out a little bit before I go into the studio. I'm always thinking about the dynamics of the song because that's something that always draws me into a song. Mm-hmm. Someone like the Swell Season or something, how their dynamics really just pull you in. And so I pay attention to that before I go into the studio and sort of have an idea of where I want it to go. But it's always a surprise what the other musicians can come up with and add to. Yeah,
so you give them a certain amount of freedom. What about the producer? I mean, you worked with someone else. Like, how much say does a producer have in exactly like how that song sounds?
Yeah, so I worked with a friend that I met in college. We graduated together from Belmont, and him and I have worked on 2 projects now together, and I feel like we just have a really good way of communicating what we're looking for, and that mix of sort of the more organic instruments, like on this song in particular there's upright bass, but there's electric guitar, which you might not usually hear together. So I think that's sort of fusion, and then the heavy strings. I just think we have a similar vision for what we want for the song.
Yeah, well, it came out just a superb recording on that. It Thanks. Really did. The record, it's called The Simple Fear, and the look on your face on the album artwork looks like you're frightened of something. What is it about? I don't a lot of time ask about the actual title for the album, but that one's kind of interesting. What is The Simple Fear?
I mean, I don't think I intended to look scared on the album
you
cover.
Look concerned, is what you look concerned.
I guess if there was anything that would explain that look, is that picture was actually taken in the middle of the road, and you just can't see the background. But I guess the Simple Fear, that line comes from the first track on the album, Like the Dream of It, and it's basically just the premise that fear isn't ever really simple. It's always complicated, but when you look at it as we have a lot of the same fears in common, then it becomes more simple and more clear. So that's just kind of what I went with as the overarching theme of the record.
I have this irrational fear that I'm going to turn a corner and there's just going to be a tiger that like escaped from the zoo or something. I don't know how a tiger gets in Louisville other than an escapee. That's how I'm going to go out.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that's exactly complicated. It's
yeah.
That one goes down to it. Talk with Brooke Annibale here on 91.9 WFPK. There's a few other things. Can you tell me what the song jar is?
Oh yeah, sure.
What is that?
So a friend of mine and I in Pittsburgh started this about a year ago. She had been doing something similar for several years, where she was writing custom songs for people. So people would tell her their story, basically, whether it was a love story or a story for their parents or a story for their child. And so about a year ago, we started working on that together, just to sort of make it more of an official small business, if you will.
Right.
And so basically people just will, go online and write in, like, I would like a song for my wife for Christmas, and this is our love story, and here are the details, and either her or I will sit down and write a song about it. And and put their inside jokes in it or whatever it may be.
So what happens if the song's like really good? Like, do you get to keep that and like use that later?
Yeah, that's always a thing where it's like, usually it's a little too specific, but I had one couple that had asked me to write something kind of non-specific so that it could be universal in appeal. And I'll probably record that song at some point because it's a fun love song, I guess.
And is the next question usually like, and will you play our wedding?
Yeah, I actually am going to play that couple's wedding reception in June. So
it makes you like almost like a new version of the singing telegram, the old style. As you're coming. It's a super cool thing though, especially, like I said, it's going to be like a side job and just extra income for doing something you'd be doing anyway.
Right. It's super rewarding too to connect with people that way because you're kind of getting out of your own head and writing about someone else's story and experience. Right. And then they just, usually freak out about it or say that they, cried when they heard it. And then I know that I've done my job.
That's good songwriting practices right there. It's Brooke Annibale here on 91.9 WFPK Radio Louisville. It's been so much fun to have you in. Can I coax you out of another song?
Sure, yeah.
All right.
Thanks for having me. So this next song I'm going to do is called All Right.
All right. It's FPK.
The day keeps breaking you down. Love will still be found when the world keeps spinning you around. Keep your feet on the ground. 'Cause if we love each other, honey, it'll be alright. If we love each other, honey, it'll be alright. If we love each other, honey, it'll be alright. If we love each other, honey, it'll be alright. And the words have got you feeling blue from those mouths that don't know you. Life is more than this place. Need to get better if we just start running away. So if we love each other, honey, it'll be alright. If we love each other, honey, it'll be alright. If we love each other, honey, it'll be alright. If we love each other, honey, it'll be alright. Hey, it'll be alright. Hey, it'll be alright. 'Cause if we love each other, honey, it'll be alright. If we love each other, honey, it'll be alright.
It's Brooke Annibale. All right, here on 91.9 WFPK. The new record is called The Simple Fear. And thanks again for stopping by.
Thanks so much for having me.
It's been awesome to have you here. Next time, stick around in town and play us a show, all right?
Sure, yeah.